Hello everyone, welcome to Georgia Paper Crafts. Today I wanted to do a bunch of cards for my fellow healthcare workers. I am a acute care nurse practitioner by trade, and I do work in the hospital. And I want to just say that the nurses, doctors, physician's assistants, other nurse practitioners, respiratory therapists, everybody I work with has been working so hard, and they always do. We always do. We always put 100% into the care that we give our patients, but now at this time, it's especially stressful and more, I don't even know how to scary. It's scary taking care of these patients because not only are you afraid for their life, but you're afraid that you're going to catch the virus and take it home to your family. So all of them I want to do some cards for, just to let them know that, as always, I appreciate them. So my favorite thing, stamps, has the set of stamps, medical stamps from Birdie Brown. And it features a female and a male nurse along with a female and a male doctor. I think you can interchange them at any time, but they just made them available just for free digital download on their site just for this month because of everything that we're going through, so that people can make these cards and give them out to the healthcare workers. So I want to show you what I did. I printed out a bunch. I downloaded some. I printed out a bunch. I am going to color these with different mediums. I'm not going to show you all that because I have a lot and that's just too much, but I will show you how I put them into some cards, and maybe you can do the same. But I also want to show you a little bit of something that I did, how I kind of switch things up. So first one is the nurse in scrubs, the female nurse in scrubs, and their sentiment that says nurse is another word for hero. There is other sentiments that come along with this set. I did not put that since my focus was right now just to do this. Now I printed this up on heavyweight white cardstock. I'll probably use this for using my alcohol markers. Now I know I'm going to have to be very cautious because I'm hoping this does not bleed, this ink. I don't know. I'm going to give it a little while, let it dry, and then I'm going to see. Hopefully it will not bleed. So I've got those, and I've got two of them right here, but I also printed it up on, this is Bristol Smooth cardstock. I'm going to do some, I'm going to color with some of my watercolors. I can also color this with some Zig Clean Color Brush Real markers. So I did a bunch where I printed them up on these Bristol Smooth cardstock so that I could also have those. So, and I'm put 4 per page. This is an 8.5 by 11 page, so that I can just, either use an oval die, a square, a circle, whatever, to cut this out, or even just cut it and then back it with something to make a simple card. So there's another female. Here's one of the male. This is considered their male nurse, but it could be anybody. Trust me, doctors wear scrubs too. And I took another sentiment that says heartfelt thanks. You're a superhero in scrubs. And this one is on Bristol Smooth. Here's another one on just heavyweight white cardstock. Obviously this got cut off. I'll probably just hand letter that in to keep it. Here's one where the typical looking doctor, with the lab coat and everything. Nurse practitioners and physician's assistants also wear these, so you'll see that I did modify some of mine to reflect those professions also. But this one says doctor is another word for hero, and this is the male. And then here's on the Bristol Smooth cardstock. Now this one just has the same image, but it just says thanks, doc. Here's the female, a physician or medical professional, says doctor is another word for hero. And then another one I did that says thanks, doc. Now here is where I made it my own. They do not have ones that say nurse practitioner or physician's assistant. And what you need to know if you don't work in the medical profession is that most hospitals are supported largely by what's called advanced practice practitioners, which are nurse practitioners and physician's assistants. We do a large majority of the work in the hospital and care for a lot of very sick and ill people. my previous job was in a cardiovascular intensive care unit, and trust me, I did a lot of care of extremely critically ill patient, which got me into crafting to begin with, because I would come home and be very stressed, and I would want to color or make something pretty to help relieve that stress, and that's where I started doing crafting. So anyway, this one I made my own sentiment, similar to what theirs say, but this says, took the image and it says, nurse practitioner, you're a superhero in scrubs. So I just took that image and did the same, and then I changed up the sentiment here, and instead it says nurse practitioner is another name for hero. Now, I didn't just do females. A lot of nurse practitioners are females, but some are male. And so I did also do male nurse practitioners. I did a nurse practitioner with a lab jacket also. And I also did physician assistants that are female and male. I just realized I didn't do a male nurse practitioner in scrubs. No, I did. Sorry, I did. I'm getting confused. I've got so many. Anyway, here are the male, or excuse me, here is the physician assistants. This one has one in a lab coat, and it says physician assistant is another name for hero, and this is a female, and it says physician assistant, you're a superhero in scrubs. So I'm going to color a bunch of these off camera, and then I'll show you how I put them together to make a bunch of cards. And I hope you get inspired to do the same. Now, if you do use these images and stuff, I do suggest you credit my favorite things stamps, as they're very generously putting them out there for free, and of course tag them on any social media that you do.
So I did want to show you how I colored some of these images. I didn't want to focus on that because that was not my main focus for these. Plus, I made 86 cards, and that would have been tiresome for you to watch as it was for me to make these. So anyway, pretty much what I did when mass producing, I work on one thing at a time. So what I showed you in that very first clip, even though it went by very quickly, was that I had colored all the faces first. And again, I'm just showing you one page that I'm coloring. I colored all the pages that I had that I was going to color with Copic markers. I did all the face first. And now I'm doing all the hair. And I'm showing you that I'm trying to do a variety of different colors. I started out using 3 Copic colors to color these in and try to do a little shading of this. Needless to say, by the end of coloring the hair, it got pretty loose, and it got to be where I only used maybe 2 and did it very quickly. There was no flicking of the brush or anything like that. It got old kind of quickly, and I just wanted to get the color down. So I tried to do everything from brown to red to blonde to gray. So that's kind of what I'm showing you. I then moved on, once I finished with all the hair, I moved on to the jackets for the doctors, and I used a different combination of grays each time. As you can see, you'll see here that I'm coloring some with cool, some with warm, some with toner, to see exactly what I like. And I think I wound up just going with the warm grays is what I wound up doing. And as you can see from previous, I had already colored all the guys' hair, all the faces. Again, trying to get a variety of different skin tone colors and hair color, and just because, you know, there's all different kinds of people who make up doctors, physicians, assistants, nurse practitioners, nurses, and so on. The one thing that I do wish I would have made, which I didn't quite think about, I guess, when I was printing these up, was respiratory therapists. Respiratory therapists are some of the frontline people right now dealing with these COVID-19 patients, and I wish I would have thought of that. And I might go back and make some for them because they truly do deserve it. So anyway, just working here, showing you that I'm now working. I had worked on some of the shoes. I did all the shoes in a gray tone, almost making them look like black. And here I'm doing all the pants in a gray. I'm doing the female's top in a blue, and just kind of going through very quickly. And now I'm going to show you some of the scrubs, some of the males and scrubs that I did. Again, I am just showing you a very few of the ones I did. There were 86 total. Half of them were Copic colored. So a lot of times, again, I'm starting by using 3 colors here. These are grays. I definitely went down to 2 colors and to make it a lot quicker. No real shading, just kind of going with it to get the color down. Doing some blue here. I'll do some green. And, you know, just trying to, again, scrubs come in all different colors. So just kind of trying to put a variety here. And doing a dark and a light. Of course, I don't color this fast. I wish I did. And of course, going back, like I say, this was done very neatly because it was some of the first ones I did. And using, like I say, some of the teals, some of the darker greens there. Just variety, you know. Now, here I'm going to show you where I use my Tombow markers and some water. This is the one where I actually printed these images up onto paper using my laser printer, not my inkjet printer. And what I can tell you is that when I colored these, the ink did not bleed from the inkjet from the laser printer. However, the ones that I did off camera that I printed up using the inkjet printer did bleed, and I'll talk about that at the end here. But yeah, luckily, I'll know that for future when I'm printing up images, is to print them using my laser printer and not my inkjet printer, because especially if I want to use water, that's where it starts to bleed. So otherwise, I really enjoyed using my Tombow markers. Very easy, put some color down, pull it out just a little bit, and you get terrific images. So did that, and as you see, I did all the faces first, then I did all the hair. Now going to the scrubs. Again, laying down a little bit of base color, coming in with a little bit of a wet paintbrush, and pulling it out. Doing different colors, blues, greens. I'll do some grays here. And if I went out of the lines a little bit, I would just get that area wet and then sop it up using a small piece of paper towel. And that usually would make it go away pretty quickly. Doing a little bit of a red one. I really liked how this one turned out. And again, I did a bunch of these, and the ones that I did that were on using the inkjet printer, definitely you can tell that the ink ran a little bit more. So you'll see those in the final products. So moving on to putting some of, once I finished coloring everything, and let me just tell you, that took me probably at least a week and a half to 2 weeks, just because I work full time. I'm, busy. I do these on my off time. So once I was finally done with that, I was ready to put these together, and I decided, well, let me make some stencil backgrounds. So I decided to bring in some stencils from my favorite things. This is the brick wall one, and I'm just using some different colors of ink from my favorite thing. This is a blue, and I'm trying out my scrapbook.com blender brushes, and I do like them. These have those not oval, but round kind of shape heads, and I thought they blended really well. So just kind of going through, pulled out some Bristol Smooth cardstock doing that. I'm also going to do one here with a Radiant Starburst using different colors. You'll see I actually do one with, I think, a rainbow color using different colors. My Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station is underneath, but I didn't prime my stencils using the Pixiss spray, but it still worked. Now here, for a couple of them, I decided that I wanted to take my favorite things Inside Out Stitch Rectangle die and cut a frame. And this is a frame out of a red, and I was going to put it on with the image that I cut out using the same frame. I was going to cut that, I matted it onto that red one, and then you can't see it's the same size. I'm going to put that down. This one, again, some of these were different sizes, and I wound up having to do different things. And what I found out very quickly is I don't want to do a lot of die cutting. And after a couple of these, I started to look at them and go, oh my gosh, I can't do any more die cutting. So I stopped. And I initially thought I would try a different form of die cutting, maybe with the scallop edge or whatever. But again, it just got to be too much. So here is a scalloped edge die. I use the Avery L scallop edge die, cut out the frame, and then I'm just going to put that down and then mat the image on top of that. So you'll see me do that. And then I will show you some other ones that I did do the exact same way with different color. I did all those off camera. And again, what I realized is once I did all of those, I don't want to keep doing the die cutting. So I'm going to switch to another way to put all of these together. And you'll see that in just a few minutes. So here's a quick run through of the ones that I had already done. And here's some more.
Okay, so I have finally finished all my cards that I made for nurses, doctors, nurse practitioners, and physician's assistants using the My Favorite Things Birdie Brown images that were free download. So I'm just going to quickly go through these to kind of show you. I wound up making 86 cards. Trust me, it was a slog. I didn't realize I had so many images. I had printed so many images up, and but I was determined to make sure I did them all. So I did, and so I kept the addition onto cards very simple. I tried to make it as simple and easiest as possible so that I could do it quicker. So this is the first little boy nurse one, and it says, heartfelt thanks, you're a superhero in scrubs. And I had used the MFT radiating rays die here and did a rainbow inking background. Then this is the girl image for that, and it says nurse is another name for hero. All of these I've cut down just to however it looks good, I think. And you could tell I printed them out in different sizes, so they're different sizes for the piece of paper. And then I backed them with just some random paper that I had, whether I looked in my 12 by 12 pack, which this is from. This is an ombre 12 by 12 pack that I think I got it. Where did I get that? Maybe Hobby Lobby or something like that. On all of them, I added some kind of embellishment. I either added these colored, whether it's pink, silver, dark pink, or red hearts. And I added those on to all the cards, and you'll see. So as you can see, I did a multitude of different color scrubs, skin colors, that kind of thing. Some of these I outlined with a gray marker to help them to stand out a little bit more. Nothing is consistent. Not every single one is the same because I got tired of doing it after a while. So, but one thing I did do, and I really didn't want to, but I wound up doing it because I thought it made a big difference, was going around the outline with a black pen. And I went around all the images with a graphic line marker after I had colored it, just to make it stand out a little bit more. Here's another one of a boy and male nurse, excuse me, and I've got the inked background using the MFT. Gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but I'll have it. It's the brick stencil. And of course, here are the hearts. There's another girl one. another girl one here. Now most of my card bases are made out of heavyweight off-white or white cardstock I have from my stash. However, I did use this specialty cardstock I had in different colors. This is from Basil. I believe I bought it at Michael's. And so I cut that down and used that as a card base for some of them. So as you can see, now here, instead of the hearts, I did use little iridescent, almost like, they're circles, but I guess you could also you would put these in shaker cards and stuff but I just kind of scattered them around the image. And believe it or not, this must be the only one that I didn't go around the outline with the black marker, because this one is not done. But you can see the difference when I do. So I might go back and definitely do that. So there's another one. This is that same white polka dot specialty paper from Basil. And same here, that's an tan. And then just kind of all the same. Like I say, some of them I colored with Copic markers, and that's what you saw earlier. Some of them I colored using my Tombow markers and some water. What I did notice is that the ones that I colored using the Tombow marker, it made the ink from the printer smear. So I can definitely tell that. And you can kind of see a little bit of that there, but also I'll show you once I see it where I could tell that I smeared it. So just kind of randomly going through all of these real quick. Here's some paper from MFT that I used. I thought they all turned out cute. Now, as I had said in the introduction, a lot of healthcare heroes are also physician's assistants and nurse practitioners. I myself am a nurse practitioner in the hospital, and I deal with open heart surgery patients. I'm involved in the surgical part in post-op care and pre-op care. So, I wanted to make a specialty card for nurse practitioners and PAs, and so what I did was I just added my own saying there. When I downloaded the image, I cut and copied the image and then put my own sentiment there, and this one says, "Nurse practitioner, you're a superhero, unscrubs." These are all, again, colored the same, everything else is done the same. This one, now this is where I use some stars, enamel stars from my stash, or metallic, I guess it is, metallic stars. Now here's one where you can kind of see where the image, see kind of this blackish kind of look right there. I tried to blend it out as much as I could, but that was from the toner from the ink that it printed on. So, and actually, I can see that I forgot to do this. There we go. All right, there's some more. I do have male and female nurse practitioners, as there are both. And what I did was I started going through my stash of older single 6x6 papers that I had, like from previous card kits and everything. So I don't even know where these pieces of cardstock come from. I just have them stashed, and so I just picked them out, the colors I thought that would go well, and I just cut them down. You know, this one I cut with, at first I thought I'd be fancy and cut with a scallop border and kind of do a lot of that. Well, I had so many, again, I realized pretty quickly I wasn't going to do that. And then same here with this one that I did. You know, I matted it with a blue cardstock along with this gingham plaid cardstock from MFT, and I had printed this one up myself with the color and cut that out. Here's another one that I had done. This time, nurse practitioners wearing a jacket. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Here's another one that I did not go around in the outline. This one. And this one I didn't either. I tell you, I've missed a couple for sure, and I thought I really got them all, but I guess not. So a lot of these are the same. Now this is what I initially started doing, was using the MFT inside out stitched rectangle die that cuts out the frame and then the inner portion. So I would cut out the image, the inner portion, and then cut out a different color for the frame. Well, that got old pretty quick as far as die cutting. I have a bunch like this, but I didn't want to keep doing that because it just took too much die cutting. So there's another one and another one. So those are all my nurse practitioner ones. Then I have some of my physician assistant ones. And again, this is the image with the boy doctor, or at least I guess that's what it's supposed to be. But he is the boy with the, or man, I guess I should say, with the coat on and the stethoscope. And again, this says physician assistant is another name for hero. These were done the same way, using the inside out stitch rectangle die. Here's a female physician assistant, and she's in scrubs. Same here, and this one, and this one. And again, these are all background papers that I just found in my stash. Now for the doctors, I have a couple different ones. I have the male doctor, of course, the female doctor. This one says doctor is another word for hero. This one says thanks doc. And then we just keep going kind of with different colors, different skin tones, that kind of thing, male and female, and different backgrounds. And you can see I just did the same thing using hearts or stars to decorate it. Pretty much all the same. So anyway, that is a quick look. All in all, there are 86 cards. Now, as I said, I'm a nurse practitioner in the hospital. What I'm going to do is probably send a bunch of these to my friends and coworkers and let them know how much they are appreciated for all the hard work they do, especially the nurses. That'll be a big subset that I send them to, because they do a large bulk of the work at the bedside, and so I definitely want to celebrate them. Thank you for sticking with me and watching this video, and I hope that I'll see you again in the next one.